this morning.
Oh, what?
Power, leadership and complexity.
Oh, that sort of power,
yeah.
not 3-pin plug power.
Although there is an idea that power was perhaps seen as a currency, perhaps seen as a current electricity to be challenged. I'm sick of this.
Well, that was barking up a bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, you got, connected power.
Yes, connected. Yes. Wired.
Yeah.
We are now live on YouTube.
Right, welcome to this meeting of the communication strategy group. Are there any apologies for absence?
We do have apologies from Councillor Susan Hetherington.
Yep. That's it.
That's it.
Everybody else is here. Good. Welcome all. Good to see you. Are there any declarations of interest relating to the matters on the agenda? No. Meeting notes from the minutes of the last meeting on the 1st of December. Is that okay with everybody?
Yes, time
Okay, so we'll sign them shortly. Right, newsletter review. This is the new, but actually it's not. Well, this is it. Off the press.
Oh, sorry, I didn't manage that very well, did I?
Okay.
Got,
Have you got one?
I think we did a review. One, I've also seen it in soft copy. But I thought this laid out well.
Yeah.
Any reflections, thoughts about any of the pages? Any of the content? We usually talk about quality reduction and content, then delivery, and then about the audio version. People.
I think it looks good. Yeah, I think it was.
Thanks for that.
Delivery, we haven't had them. I don't know whether anybody else has, but I've not had mine through the door yet. So,
They are getting delivered this week. So
Right.
yes, they should be sort of all sorted on Monday.
Okay, great.
There is
We-
one error, if I can point it out.
Oh,
Well, we're not allowed to point it out, we're going to find it.
oh, where's the error?
Unfortunately, we obviously all missed it in the briefing process, but the preset section is slightly wrong at the top. Where it says,
Hang on. Top of the middle page.
Where it says 1,161.
no, so the numbers are correct, apart from in the white box where it says at 63p a week. 63p a week is the increase on what they paid last year, rather than the total amount.
it does say an increase of £2.75 a month. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so 63 times 4 isn't 2.
Now, I don't think people they'll realise it is more.
We haven't had anyone comment on it so far.
No, we should put it in there to make sure they can read it and work out the figures themselves a little bit, rather than be given it on a plate.
So if anyone does ask, we will obviously correct them, but
Yeah.
just to let you know that that's there.
An increase of 63 a week.
So that's
So the 273 does, because a month is sort of slightly over 4.
yeah.
It's important to point out that if you obviously separated out public toilets and the grants, the bridge repairs and so on, but actually if you add those two into the actual parks, pretty well nearly half of our budget is spent on parks, isn't it?
Oh yeah. So I separated those out from the rest of the park spend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very high spending environment committee, really, isn't it?
And just for the record, our committee spends fraction of our overall budget. And look at the impact that we
I know.
have. How bangs for your buck.
Is there any reason for the toilet rolls in the preset?
Let's talk about public toilets. I thought it'd be nicer than a picture of a toilet.
I was going to say, I quite like the graphic is
Yes.
Yeah.
and the whole setup of the page is actually a lot more appealing to the eye than if it was just a graph or a chart or something.
Yeah.
Which has been used previously, I think, some time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the whole page looks good.
Yeah, I think good. Nice pictures. I think always good pictures. I mean, those two girls dancing at the banjo.
It's well presented.
I think the office has cracked it.
Yeah.
Go on, Margaret.
I suppose I still find these with these funny symbols on these a little bit clunky. trade, page 5. Trade of Buckingham Town Council events. I know it is explained, but it doesn't,
Do you think we should try different symbols next time?
no, not necessarily, just, I don't know, is that me being unreasonable, probably?
I think if you're looking for things, if you're a food and drink trader, then you can just quickly scan down
Yeah,
and see them.
I
yeah,
think it's really helpful. I like that.
okay,
Because
forget it.
it's like, you know, in a restaurant menu where they have certain symbols
Hmm.
of what's contained. So it just makes everything a lot easier.
Hmm,
So if you are looking for, you know, something which is craft and goods related, you just know which section without having to read every individual thing.
yeah,
So my opinion is that they're really helpful.
okay, good.
And you went to the whole year of events with the back page.
We did
You
in the
don't
end.
go as-
Yeah, so
Far as that.
normally we do 6 months, but because it was the beginning of the year,
No, I think it's a good idea.
crack on.
You haven't,
Go on, Margaret.
you haven't put the date of the Christmas parade and community fair, just says Saturday, 10:30, not Saturday, whatever.
Oh, missed that.
Hmm,
Sure, we'll pick that
Yeah,
up
but it
next
wasn't
time.
known then.
maybe it wasn't, maybe it hadn't been fine.
Well,
Probably
no, I
had
think that
been.
might have been an error.
No, it wasn't known, Louise. Oh, blimey, I'll give you a line and then you throw it away.
Sorry, you didn't know.
Just a thought, picking up Margaret's point about the symbols on the back page. Is it worth having a separate column for this?
If it would fit, we could try that next time.
No, just play around with it, see.
We've got quite a long time before the next
Hmm.
one of this style, so
Yeah.
we can have a look at it with the autumn edition.
Okay. Delivery, obviously, we can't appraise because we don't know how that's gone. We're only pleased with the current structure of it.
I mean,
Go on.
when you look at the back page, there is a number of errors. You know, in September, we haven't got a closing bracket on the Sunday the 10th. And then in July, we haven't got, oh no, where did I see it? Oh, I saw one somewhere. No, I saw a time without a bracket.
Yeah, Fridge doesn't have time.
You know, it's nitpicking really, because this is such a wonderful thing really, that it's all come together and you're bound to.
Yeah, there's bound to be
It's
mistakes. You can't spot all the mistakes. I don't think anybody should beat
my
themselves
daughter
up.
that does magazines, you know,
Mm.
she filters. There was a mistake there, but I'm not going to show you.
No,
I don't think we've had anybody ever write anything. That's some compliments.
We've had some compliments. I think years ago, I had someone say that they thought something was wrong, but it didn't turn out we were correct, so it was fine. No, I can't. Thanks.
I would say that as a real strength, because normally people only write in when there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And that sort of tips the scales in the wrong way because everybody else is enjoying it.
Yeah.
So if you get, you know, even one that says it's right, that's worth 1,000.
So I would say that when I was aged about 8, I got my Blue Peter annual Christmas present. And I spotted a couple of typos in there. I wrote to Blue Peter. Tell them what the typo.
And they gave you a badge for it, did
They
they?
did give me. Then the following year, I was looking for more typos, and they sent me a silver. So as you imagine, the third Christmas in a row, I got the annual, found some more typos. I was thinking, I'm going to get a gold
Yeah.
one. No, back to the blue one again. I thought, well, this is a lot fun. I'm not bothered with their annual. It's a thief. From where? Devon. Imitating us last week. Well, yeah, shut him up. We'll just give it all.
Can I just say, that's a perfect picture for the front cover.
It is.
Yeah.
We've got that sort of photographs now.
Yes, we're talking about taking some new ones as well, so we've got.
Yeah, it's even got the otters in.
Yeah.
It's really,
Yeah,
it's just
very lovely.
perfect.
Yeah. It's a beautiful place. It's great. Super. Audio version that was done by our new project manager.
Yes, Steve.
Yeah.
He did a great job, actually. It was him that spotted the error, and so the audio version is correct.
Okay. That's the advantage of reading it out,
Absolutely.
if you would go. Notice.
Yes.
You would, yeah.
Mm.
Did Steve enjoy doing it?
he did, he's quite a bit of dramatics, so.
All right.
We'll have to listen to the audio.
I will, this time. Okay, great. Shall we move on from item 4? Looking now at item 5, development of existing websites. This is a regular item on the agenda. Has the website now changed over the view altogether?
No, but on Tuesday, we had training / staff introduction to the new website and the back end and how it works, and we're getting our logins this week so that we can start getting to grips with how it works from the back end. So it is essentially nearly there. There's a couple more things to tie up. The plan is that it will be ready to go live by the 31st of March. But if we need to push that a little bit, just to keep it a little bit perfect, well, so the staff will have the first go at looking through and making sure we're through with it, and then I will send out the link to you all. That's okay, so you can have a look at it, feedback.
Okay, Margaret.
Hi, thank you. As a result of that being on the agenda, I had a look at our website, and there are several things that are out of date, seriously out of date. If you click on events, it's showing the date. It says that summer at autumn 2022 events, the Buckingham Fringe. What will 2022's theme be? And the committee's staffing and chair is showing as you, John. Annual town meeting date is the 2022 date, which I think is serious because this one's coming up. If you
On the calendar or on
if you I'd have to find it again.
On dedicated pages.
if you
It was
On the council, maybe.
it was on the website under council committees, I think.
oh okay.
And
Committees, yeah.
I don't know. No, and there was that was where I
Special page for the annual town meeting.
it's annual meetings, and there's preset annual statutory meeting and annual town meeting. And on that it's showing March, whatever it was, 2022.
We will, have you got all of those? Let's make sure we change.
Yeah, we held on Thursday, 24th March 2022.
Oh, you found it. And also the cemetery consultation is still live on there. Those, I mean, I didn't look at everything, but I spotted those.
Within be live, so I don't know why that's happening.
It's showing your responses by January the 25th or something like that. As though it's still open.
Oh, I see.
I mean, it might not be still open. I didn't try clicking on anything, but
Is there any kind of technology? Because obviously going through every single page on the website, even the new website, is an enormous task. And things do go out of date. Is there any kind of technological?
So one of the issues with the old website is that the different pages don't link very well together. So, for example, the issue with the annual meeting being wrong, that's because it's been changed elsewhere on the website, but the person who did that didn't realise that there was a bit on that page that needed changing. So it's very useful to spot these kinds of things. But the new website has been, it runs under the same essential software in the background, but with a different council specific customized blocks, if that makes sense. And that means that you can have blocks automatically repeated on different pages. And that means that if you change them in one place, correct it in other places, and that will be particularly helpful for issues to do with agendas and minutes and that kind of information not being correct in one place, but it is correct in another place. And because there'll all just be one block that gets automatically updated within the website. There will still always be an issue with the bigger the website is and the more pages we have. If you include that kind of level of detail, that might mean that a year later when someone comes to edit it, they miss that. Oh, I had to edit that page too.
So maybe it's part about what copy we write. Writing copy that by the date.
It's definitely useful on standard pages like that one to include dates. Get away with it.
it's the third Thursday of March or something like that,
Yes.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or you would usually, or normally be.
Yeah.
I always like to put normally or something like that because
That kind of thing, yes, is
Yeah.
definitely helpful prevents too many
Mm.
of those issues. But like I say, the changes to the back end should clear up a lot of this in terms of meetings and in terms of events. Those things.
Because we were discussing the equality, inclusion and diversity and inclusion page.
So that's one thing we'll need to look at before it goes live,
Yeah.
because we didn't really have a proper page on the old website, and this is the opportunity. Let's get it in now before it launches so that it's there ready to go.
We did sort of more or less agree some text.
We did, it was quite a while ago though, so you might want to update it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Anything else, Margaret?
Those were the things that I spotted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm
No, genuinely, thank
All right.
you. And if you spot anything like that, you can just email Bethany or I at any time.
I'll just add to Margaret's that, yeah, the link is there, but when you go into it, it says it's not accepting any responses from the consultation.
All right. Okay.
The back end's closed, but the link to it is
Hasn't
active.
been removed.
So
And there's value in having an archive that says that it is there, that shows that we did do it.
We do sometimes have that with, if there was a news post, it's kind of like a blog post. And so we don't edit those afterwards to say that something is closed. If it was open at the time, because that's an accurate reflection of, say, the press release or whatever that we sent out at that time.
So is there anything with Steve not being here in project management terms that we can learn about, not that we'll probably do it again in my lifetime, that the handover of the website, because it was sort of meant for sort of last year, but then probably events overtook. We had the Queen's death, we had COVID left over, we had the cemetery coming up and all sorts of other things going on, which were probably not
Yeah.
anticipated.
I was expecting to have it done before Christmas, but the major issue was that
It's
we
not
were
been paid, by
short.
the way.
Yeah, the major issue was what?
That we were short-staffed, obviously, because of the staffing changes that happened, that we
Okay.
didn't know were going to happen. And I think it seems particularly long for us as well, because when we originally went out to for quotes for this project, we realised that we didn't have enough money available, and so we had to wait for the new year to start. So it's been particularly long at that end.
So we've been paying, again, not that it's an issue.
So they have done a lot of work, and they've had,
And we've been paying twice, one for the current ones to keep on going, one for the other one to come up.
so we've been paying, as it were, the maintenance costs on the old website. So just the basic stuff to get it, keep it ticking over.
Hmm.
And then on the new website, we haven't been paying any maintenance or support costs because it's not live yet. We've only been paying the development costs, and we haven't paid the full amount yet. And they won't get their final sum until it's finished.
Okay. All right, thank you. Let's move on to annual town meeting topics. You put together and think on this. Right, okay, we've got 7 topic-based tables. As listed. We need to agree the 5 questions for the online consultation. Have we got those 5 questions?
I did have a suggestion from Sheena for the neighbourhood plan one. Just take a second.
Neighbourhood plan sort of comes into all of those.
Oh, yeah.
Topics.
Absolutely. So we suggested that the one that would be specific about the BMGP, we would ask if I could change one thing about Buckingham and invite the person on that theme. And then there's 4 other questions that would be changed.
When I was thinking about this, I thought, what are the most concerns that we receive from people, from our members of our community at the moment? There's a lot of concerns about health provision, and I know health is one of the tables, so I think we need something, and that's good. That's a good open question about the neighbourhood plan. Is there something similar that we could have for health? Although I highlighted health, I didn't actually have a suggested question. And all similarly, one of our priorities as town council is the climate crisis, which overlaps eco matters and the river and green spaces. So if there's something about the climate crisis or our response to it, that could be quite good. The other thing we get a lot about is GigaClear and all of that, but I'm not sure that we want to prompt more angst about GigaClear. It might be better not to. I don't know whether people agree.
Well, we could talk about transport, traffic jams,
Infrastructure.
infrastructure in the town. Could
Yeah,
be something about roads.
yeah. And obviously they've had a huge impact, an ongoing impact
Yeah.
on our roads and pavements.
Well, potholes.
Hmm.
But also about how traffic flows through the town.
Yeah,
You know, are you wanting us to come up with 5 questions today? Was that the plan?
You don't have to come up with the exact questions if nothing springs to mind, but if you wanted to slim it down to at least the 5 topics and then the office can go in.
Summer's
You will have to come up with them. I think it starts
Monday, isn't it?
next week. Monday.
Well, it's not something like how could the town, how could pedestrians, cycles and vehicles flow more smoothly,
Hmm.
smoothly through and around the town? So,
That's a big question, isn't it?
well, we'll get a lot of interesting answers.
Or how can we encourage more active travel within the town, i.e. cycling and walking? What changes could there be in order to facilitate that? That's something.
Yeah.
Because that's what we really want. isn't it?
It's what we want, but people still want to talk about traffic jams.
Yeah, and potholes.
I think we should let them do that.
But potholes are a big issue for cycling as well, because
Well,
they're actually
absolutely.
incredibly dangerous if you go into
How
a
can
pothole.
we make walking, cycling and driving around town easier?
Yeah, yeah,
That then
Yeah.
includes
Or safer.
easier
and safer, yeah.
Easier and safer. Did that work? You got that?
Or something of that nature.
Yeah.
The other topic I thought that I haven't actually heard so much recently, but policing and vandalism, maybe.
Well, they found a culprit responsible
Oh, did
for
they?
those series. It was, as I suspect, it was one person
Oh, right.
who raided a lot of places and I think stole money on the man's inside the ATM
Oh, right.
machine.
Mm.
It was a chap with no fixed abode. But,
Yes, there was a little note in the paper yesterday about it.
Today.
yeah,
Yesterday's paper saying that
Oh,
he
yesterday.
admitted to doing it.
Okay.
I think there's been something happened near us within the last week, which is not sure what one is.
what was that? Really?
Sorry,
What was that?
someone's car taken from their drive.
Okay.
They've used all the technology to unlock the digital keys.
Mm.
And because it was so close to where I am, I kind of noticed maybe someone might be checking the road out or something.
Mm.
There's been a lot of catalytic converter that's because they
I know
target certain
because
cars.
of-
That was about, but it was a big battery.
it was probably a couple of years old, but it was unusual. It was a big car. So my dad was saying it's probably done to order
Mm.
Yeah.
because it's an unusual, you don't find very many of them.
Mm.
So
Mm.
We do have the PCC coming to the annual town.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so what would be a good question to tackle to some of this then?
that's what I was trying to think, because I was quite shocked because where the car was taken from was literally a few yards away from the room I was sleeping in.
Mm.
So, and I thought at the time I heard the driveway lights come on our side. So
Okay.
it was, for someone to come in to a street where there's no other way out, quite a daring thing for them to do.
How about something like what more can be done to make Buckingham even safer and, well, even safer and feel even safer?
You know, people just don't feel we need actual police on the streets.
Well,
I'm not going to get that. I don't think.
And not at 2 in the morning either.
Yeah.
and also, I mean, police on the streets have obviously a degree of preventative impact,
Yeah,
but there's no way that
yeah,
you can be around 6 police officers walking around the streets
yeah.
without preventing
Mm.
burglaries.
Can I just ask how Martin knew at 2 a.m? That's what it happened.
Oh,
Hang on a sec.
um, well, why don't we ask that question? I mean, I know we'll get, we
Yeah.
might, but we might also get some other
Yeah.
answers too. You know, we need, brighter street lights, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, I was just thinking you might get responses about lighting and
Yeah.
things like that.
It's not, I mean, I lobbied when the 1999 Crime Disorder Act went through Parliament and became law. I've been lobbying a lot, as just as an individual really, to say it shouldn't just be about reducing crime. It should be about reducing the fear
The
of
fear
it
of crime.
as well.
Mm.
I didn't get my way. Because my view is fear of crime is a much more disabling thing than actual crime. No one wants to have their car nicked
Yeah.
or whatever. But actually, the worry about it, or the worry is actually, I think, impacts people's lives.
I think
much
you're
more.
right about the fear. It's not so much about the car. Say, for example, the rest of the people within the small street, it's not so much a car or something valuable. It's the fact that someone had the audacity or the daring to come into a very small street where literally every window looks at where that car is parked from every house. So it is the fear that people had the audacity, had the, the nerve to, because then people think, oh, where does it stop then? They've taken something right from everyone, underneath everyone's noses. It's not like it was in a hidden place or out of the way. Literally one person would have to look out of their window and the entire street would see it happening.
And if they had and they'd gone out, what
Yeah,
might have happened?
exactly.
Well, I remember once, I lived in Oxford, I was running after somebody who was nicking up cabs.
Yeah,
I had tore out of my friend's house while I was having a drink. And then when I got back, the guy skedaddled, didn't catch it. But then Heist, my friend, said, well, what would you have done if you
Yeah.
caught that? I thought, yeah, I hadn't really thought of that. What do you do?
exactly.
Okay, I've got.
So I was going to say, likewise, in my road, a couple of months ago, they stole a catalytic converter. The car was on the drive,
Yeah,
and they turned up. They were brazen.
yeah.
I mean, this is the problem. What can you do about it?
Yeah,
So 2 of them got under the car, jacked it up, thing. The other one stood there with a baseball bat, and they looked out their bedroom window and said, "Oi, stop it!" And in the old days, you would have thought, "Oh, they would have run off."
yeah.
He goes, "Well, I know where you live, but you don't know where I live."
Cool,
I
then.
think, right, okay,
That's
that's another level of worry.
It is very brazen because a couple of years ago, at my old address, on a kind of main road, on a Saturday, I think it was between 11 and 12 noon, they came and some robbers came to the house opposite mine, and they broke in and cleared the entire house out. And it was only my neighbour on one side who noticed and called the police, because he always sat facing out of the window, and he was a little old man who would notice these things. But to think, between 11 to 12 during a
It
Saturday.
is amazing what happened. I'll tell you a story when we're off camera. That happened, something happened to my brother a few days ago. We'll do that later on. But so we got a question something like, what more could be done to reduce crime and the fear of crime
Yeah,
in the town?
yeah, I think that's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we've got something on travelling and we've got something on
Health,
health.
neighbourhood
Cost of
plans.
living.
Did we get the health question? Is that-
It's a similar question to the neighbourhood plan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What was it? What was the neighbourhood plan question?
If I could change one thing about
All right.
Yeah.
If I could change one thing about health
Provision.
provision in Buckingham, what would that be? So that means you've got health, we've got neighbourhood plans, we've got policing, we've got travel. We want one more question, please.
Yeah.
Can we do
Just a
climate
climate.
living or climate?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. I don't know. 'Cause obviously, cost of living is really impacting everyone right now in a huge way, but it's right now.
We are talking about Buckingham.
We will also have the CAB there chairing the table.
We will have the what?
CAB, at 18
No, but I was just thinking about cost of living. At
Yeah.
the town council,
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's much we can do about that.
No, is there, you know, like on the main council, we sometimes have pages to direct people. I wonder if people are aware of that sort of thing or not.
In terms of the annual town meeting as well, it is very much the town's meeting.
Oh, okay.
They're not limited to talking about only
Yeah.
the town council covers.
Okay, well, then we could just do one.
although we have got the new allotments in the future coming along. That's a cost of living. Possible.
I know growing vegetables has got a lot of fruit and vegetables, flowers, whatever on an allotment is a really positive thing for all sorts of things, mental health and all sorts. But the cost of seeds and compost and everything else,
Could be
when we grow stuff, I don't think it's economically helpful. It's lovely.
in monetary terms.
In monetary terms, you're putting more in than you're getting out of them. Unless people have got better ways of doing it than we do. Per tomato, it's not worth it.
Community.
Just another question, what more could be done in the town to help people manage the cost of living?
Yeah.
Make it a question like that.
But so it doesn't have to be town council
No, it doesn't.
responsibility.
People might, we're trying to bring out good ideas.
Yeah. If we're trying to get ideas, then I think it's good to have an open-ended question like that. And it kind of opens people up to how they can help each other as well. You know, kind of similar to what happened during the pandemic. The community really got together.
Could we twist it around a little bit maybe and ask what somebody has done to help you that you could then draw on as a response? So to encourage responses about things that you know actually help.
What initiatives are there in Buckingham are you aware of in Buckingham to help in the cost of living crisis or something? Or are there or could there be?
Well, there are, there's the food,
There's
there's the warm spaces. Some people don't know about this.
Yeah.
There are.
Have made that Facebook page as well, the cost of living crisis in Buckingham. And
Yeah,
they put
so that-
helpful tips and stuff.
There's one with Buckinghamshire as well, and the opposite.
So then shall we leave that and go to eco instead? Is that combined?
because flooding is always an issue around, isn't it? And that flooding.
We've only got 5 questions, and if we could create a question that would cover all that, it might have been suitable.
We've got health police, planning,
And transport.
transports. Yeah,
We've done flooding in numerous ways for quite
Yeah.
some time, haven't we? So
Well, just say, I mean, as we identified earlier on, parks are half of our budget. Why don't we say, how can we improve the town's parks?
Parks and green spaces.
Yeah, parks and green spaces.
Yeah.
What ideas do you have that will improve our parks and green spaces?
Yeah, that's a good one.
And just see what comes up.
yeah, that's good.
Because it is a big part of our budget.
improve or change.
No, improve, it does, okay, it's improved.
If you have other ideas later on, because they won't go up.
Well, not if you're going live Monday.
It's not very long, is it?
You will have to email me before Monday, but yes.
In terms of the 7 tables, I
Yes.
thought we were going to have a table on the equality and diversity.
So you will have a stall and they're separate. So the stall's around the edge, tables in the middle. So stall gives you a little bit of display space.
We've got an important story.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about, because initially when we read the design, logo and everything else. I wanted to know, and we asked for you know, the money from resources as well.
So the money doesn't appear until the 1st of April, unfortunately. This is next year's budget.
Okay, what I can do then, is put up a board of some kind and say, what ideas do you have?
Yeah.
To make Buckingham an even more welcoming place?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a great idea.
And just let people
Yeah.
post things.
And the
Does
whole
that-
point
does
of
that
having
mean-
a stall or something is to invite people in for discussion and learn about their experiences and
Yeah.
they've got to bring to the table.
And multicoloured
Yeah.
post-it notes.
Bunch of post-it notes, some pens, people just post things. up there.
Because I've always thought with the ECDI, it's not about us, it's about, we can't go forward until we've got community involvement.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, we can have as many meetings as we like, but until we're there, getting people's experiences, getting people's trust to speak to us. You know, we can't just set in stone a direction, we need to know what the issues are and what people want us to do.
Yeah, and I would say let them post anonymously, because I think if one of us is there looking at them, writing it, they may not feel so inclined. So I would
Yeah.
say, just put it up there as a space for people to use.
Or even if we had a box, if they wanted to write it down and put it in, like a suggestions type thing, but, you know, so anonymously they can fill out what they think.
Yes, except that people then can't see what other people have done.
Well, if they prefer, you could have both and, couldn't
Yeah.
you?
Yes,
So people can put things on the board if they want to, but if they'd rather
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
sort of
Like they
secretly.
could make like a, you know, like a couple of words even, something affects them, without going, they want to put something in detail, like an experience, they can write it down, put it anonymously, if it's an issue or a few words they want to put up onto the board to get people thinking and talking.
Okay.
Because it has to,
Do
that
we
working
need,
group has to be interactive with the community.
do we need to have an offline discussion about this, because obviously it's
Yeah.
not totally germane to this meeting?
Yeah.
Shall we do that offline?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think it has to be something just that simple, really.
Yeah.
We can't overcomplicate things like sometimes meetings tend to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Simple as fine.
Okay, all right. Are we done?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, future newsletters. Review of the schedule. Okay,
So we haven't changed the committee meeting dates. They are the same as they were originally planned to be. But we've changed some of the distribution periods. Just a few weeks in most places, just to adapt to the fact that we're doing it slightly differently. And also because we don't have a summer edition this year, normally the summer edition would have a what did your council achieve in the previous year article. So we won't be able to do that until the autumn. And then next year we'll look to correct that by putting that in the spring edition. Just so that flows more nicely.
okay. The A4 trifold that you're proposing for the fringe, is that because that's all we can afford?
That's what we budgeted for. So before it was decided that that fringe brochure budget would move over to CSG, it had already been decided that they would change what they were doing because they previously had a booklet that was quite similar to the newsletter. Although
It's what I thought they were transferring over to us, you see, this is where it's gone a bit lost in the translation.
no, that had already been decided that they were going to do that.
They being,
TCV.
okay,
They decided that September maybe.
So I'm thinking.
The reason why, and I'm very happy to show you the report from them, so that if you want a more detailed explanation, is that although they had a 4-page fringe booklet of that size, more than half of it was taken out on advertising the summer festival, and they decided that they wouldn't do that anymore because the summer festival does its own brochure. So it was cost effective. And it's also that meant that size didn't make sense. So if you looked at it in terms of actual coverage of pages, they're going to have more than they did. You will have more than they did when it was a 4-page booklet, even though it's going to be a trifold A4, because of how the space was used previously.
You see, in my head, what I envisaged was something like this, with like special fringe edition, and most of the content would be fringe stuff, but there'd still be a message from the mayor, and there would still be, you know, the back pages as well. Maybe not perhaps quite as much detail as this. So it would be like a kind of mini version, but a fringified, not entirely different newsletter. So there would be some continuity of still having something like this 4 times a year.
We could look at different layout options and see if, but I think that we struggle to get that in the budget.
Well, can I propose that if we look, because the biggest cost is distribution.
Yeah, because we're moving the house, the design in-house, so the cost is split between distribution and.
Okay, so what I was thinking of is maybe something that was actually A3 trifold, or A3. We demonstrated very well. We will take them
A3 folded into A5, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can go away and press that up.
So in other words, it would look like this, but you unfold it and you fold it out that way. So the second page would be all this above fringe, what's coming up in the way that we described, with a bit more space. But then we'd also have the back of it, all the bit of it would look a bit like this, with special fringe edition, of course. But then would also there be space then for a mayor's message and maybe contact details for some usual stuff too.
So just like a leaflet which folds in.
Yeah. So it would like the
Yeah.
look very like this.
Yeah.
But actually only have effectively 8 pages.
Yeah.
But it would be in one folder.
It'd be folded in twice in itself.
Yes.
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 I genuinely don't know how much that would cost, so we will have to go away and see if we can do that within the budget.
But just, as I say, I just think if we should maintain this Buckingham as good tradition.
See what we can do. Do other people like that idea?
As
Yeah.
opposed to,
As opposed to having a purely fringe branded, but that it would include some other events
Which
promotion.
would be this sort of size.
Yes.
as you said.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
Hmm.
So you'd have,
Because I think that's what we get lost.
it would be delivered by itself though.
Well, yeah,
well, would it?
Yes, because of the current delivery.
yeah, we have ours.
And is it being printed in-house or printed by Black Dog?
No, it would be printed, we would use one of the big printing companies rather than.
We'll not use
What
that.
if we just had the A4 folded like this? And then we'd have 4 sides, the front.
That's
pages
probably,
and the back.
that's probably a point.
So
Well, that would be
it would
cheaper,
reduce-
doesn't it?
yeah, it would reduce the cost, and it still would be quite effective, and when it comes through, you've got a slightly bigger surface area
Yeah.
that people see. front.
Again, we can look at the costs for those.
So that'd be half of what we've got here, basically, because this is 16 pages.
This is your page.
Oh, right, so we're
So
talking
that
about,
would be
That
just
would
an
be
A4.
It'll be,
like
just
we-
open it up at the centre,
Yeah.
and that's what you have.
We could have that.
oh, right,
Yeah.
My mind,
okay.
that's not enough.
Okay.
The only, all the ideas are good. The only thing I have about this is that if it is like this, will people not think it's, oh, Buckingham matters? I'll never look at that anyway. Bush.
Well, we could put that at the bottom and put fringe at the top. I think we can play around with that.
Yeah, okay then.
I guess I'm just keen to kind of try and finesse budgetary cut that we took in a way that satisfies the lower resource that we have. And also pleases TC&E, because they've got all their information in there, but also maintains a degree of continuity with what we're doing.
Another thing to note is that we wouldn't be able to exactly replicate that cover anyway, because we're doing it in-house. That design is obviously Black Dogs, as it were. We don't have the raw files to make it exactly the same. I'm sure we can make it extremely similar.
Okay.
That's really, that's fine.
So let's use this as a, well, if you remember years ago, the Guardian went through the banner, dropped it, and then stuff across the top. You know, this is where you would design something.
So I think we've actually moved slightly ahead in the agenda as well.
Sorry, wait, apologies. Sorry. Well, should we just note the report?
Yes,
That's all we have to do with it, isn't it?
yes. Okay, so the fringe brochure and content. We
Right,
need a
we're on the
proposal and a seconder for what you want the office to do, because we aren't going to have another meeting before
No.
we need to, the office needs to get on and do these things.
So you've got 6 pages of content.
Yes.
Where are you reading that from?
How do you get 6 pages of content?
So if you go scroll down to the next report.
Oh, sorry, we're on the next floor.
Number 2. But the pages are that size.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, we should have brought a fringe brochure with us from a previous year and you would.
Yeah, so the fringe brochure is the obviously the same size as that, but as Louise said, really, there's not much about the fringe, it's more the Buckingham Society concert and who's playing and pictures of them and that. So really
Which is lovely, but was duplicated.
exactly, so we're having the same amount of content, but just in one over. So it's how it's folded is there's when you open it up, there's 3 pages, and then on the back there's 3. But they are smaller.
Yeah.
We could, the other option would be if neither of those, if the A3 folded into 4,
Yeah, sorry.
A3 folded into A5 suggestion, if that's not in budget and we can't do that, what we could do is we could look at this design anyway and see if we could replicate some of the design features from that in order to still create the same effect, but it is clearly a different separate document that's advertising the fringe.
Yeah, I think, all right, I think what we've got to agree is, I mean, accept all of this, because obviously that's determined by the content of the fringe and so on. But if we manage to find a way of giving some extra content, then I think it would be good to have the mayor's message as usual. It would be good to have the content.
What would be the priority content that you would want to include if we could make it a little bit bigger?
I think mayor's message. There'll be a new mayor there. That means the new mayor won't get a chance to say anything to the town until. But to be able to do content. I mean, we could do what your town did for you last year. That could go in as well.
I don't think we'll be able to fit that in, because that's 4 separate reports from different committees and they're very word heavy. Even on a big.
Okay, all right. Could there be another graphic a bit like that, but like achievements over the last year or something?
If that's a priority that people want to include.
But if we leave it till the following one, we can have the full breakdown as usual, can't we? I think the trouble is if we do a smaller one in this one, we probably still need the bigger one in the following one.
I'm not saying it is.
No.
Well, the other option is we just put in the usual back page as well. That's adding an A4 size. A3 is going to give us 4 A4 pages. So I would say make the print stuff bigger. Well, I think putting the print stuff into that make it bigger. Is it stand out? You want people to enroll in the thing.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And have more strength than photographs from last year. People having fun. I know what the rest work.
Your idea only works if we use an A3 folding. If we have to go to an A4 folding, then that doesn't work. It only gives you just 4 sides.
Yeah. But it's the same cut acreage as the tripod.
It is, but you've only got 4 pages rather than 6 pages in the trifold.
Yes, it's a little bit easier to squeeze more in the trifold design because you've got it looks like 6 pages, so you can use less space to look like you're doing more. If you see.
What about a trifold apron?
I mean, again, we can look at that cost for that.
That just gives us a bit more space.
Trifold A3.
Yeah.
That'd be A4 size trifolded.
Yeah.
Then, so you've got an A4 piece of paper, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work.
I was thinking, this often gets lost as it goes through people's door. It's got some weight to it, whereas an A4, I'm going to paper before we express it.
If it was pushed through in an A4 sheet, yes, of course, by the importance of folding it up. I do think that this is a really good opportunity to really focus on the fringe branding and really make that a big exciting thing.
Do that.
And then we can absolutely talk about the sizing and the paper and the layout, but that we can't lose sight of the fact that the fringe brochure has been done the same way for a really long time, and it wasn't particularly effective.
Yeah,
And
which is why
It'd be that size.
Yeah.
Trifold A3.
would that be a little bit more floppy going through?
Well, that's their problem delivering, not ours.
It's true.
Sorry, can I just be a real nuisance? My car park is parked in our parking spot. Can I go and move it quickly?
Of course.
Okay, brilliant.
We'll still be on this topic when we get back.
It would be like Oregon Central.
I'm really not against going and looking at other things. My caution is that I'm concerned that nothing else will be implemented, or that certainly more pages or more paper.
But that idea, A3 trifold would be a bit more because there's twice as much paper.
Yeah.
But everything else is the same almost.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit more 8K, no big deal.
Do we think that shape's more appealing than that shape
Yeah.
for an A3?
Well, when I did leaflet, I did A4 cut diagonally across. There was like a pin, a flag, and that's you got 2 leaflets out of it, but it stuck out more than just an A5 cutting it down the middle. So anything which doesn't sit properly with anything else in your on your kitchen table or anything else, or in a different shade. I mean, white's probably the cheapest, but you had it.
I think the resistance you're meeting to the idea proposed, Louise, is there's only one option you can use. And it's really not the option I thought we brought into.
I'm very sorry about that because I had no idea that wasn't what you were aware was going to happen.
No, because the last one looked like this.
Yes, and because TCLE had already agreed previously that they wanted to change it.
Yeah, and I don't agree TCLE's relates to that kind of piece.
So it was obviously all in. But
Yeah, I'm not
we
saying
could
it
have-
wasn't.
I apologise that we hadn't talked about that in detail. I really 100% don't have a problem with us going away and looking at different prices, at different options and pricing them up. But if those are not affordable, we will have to default to this or something like this.
Okay, that's what it is for this year. That's what it is for this year. And we're budgetary constrained. Even though we've got the smallest budget in the town council, we're the one that's taking percentage rise, the biggest account. So you can tell I'm not happy. We are the really, we are the thing that's the interface between the town council and the town. And I still think that's just being wrong the way that it's done. And I'm not blaming anybody, I'm really not at all, other than the way things are in the town council. But I would say that please go away and have a look at an A3 folded trifold like.
Yeah.
Martin just said.
Is that
We
the
could-
preferred option, an A3 trifold, and also if we look as well at the A3 folded into A5?
Well, no, I hear what you say. Maybe the other one is.
Well, I don't.
Let's try. Let's try.
Okay.
And within that space, there will be space for a mayor's message at least the back page.
I do think even if we end up doing, we can't afford that and we do end up with this, I don't see any reason why we can't make some space for a mayor's message. Yes, it would be a paragraph and not full length that you would have in a normal newsletter, but it would be enough to do a really short introduction and make sure that everyone knew who the new mayor was.
And a photo, yeah.
Yeah, and the branding has got to be similar. Say fringe or everything, but it's got to be seen, in my view, got to be seen as a continuity, as one of the two.
Okay, so we do proposals and seconds just for the minutes. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I'm proposing.
I'll second it.
perfect, thank you very much.
Agree.
We have a vote.
And Margaret will
We're still
agree.
for it. We're still for it.
Maybe I'm still for it if you would like to.
I think if we explore the options, it's a
Yeah,
good thing.
we're not giving you, we're asking you to go away and
Yeah,
Yeah, that's absolutely fine, and then we'll come back on the emails, on email and let you know what the result of that was. And if we can do bigger, I am 100% behind that. And in terms of design, obviously you've just agreed that you would like something that looks similar to that. So we'll work from that basis to start with.
as simple as it can be, so we've got some degree of continuity, but also if we want to use this opportunity, I don't know, I had to start thinking about the design of this when you're responsible for it. Then I'd be open. We talked a lot about this in the past, and we should change that. We went from, down the slide. Maybe one option would be to put that bit at the top, this bit drop it down, and then have the logo going straight into the bottom like that, just to make it a bit rich.
Definitely a refresh. So we'll have a
and I
Yeah.
did think the design of that front, the proposal of the trifold leaflet front page, that did look quite good. And with Buckingham Town Council on like that, it has got echoes of the newsletter.
So that, obviously that very simple design was
Yeah.
just to show how
Well, yeah.
on the fringe brochure, it usually is the fringe logo, the title, the year, the dates, and then 3 or 4 pictures in a grid, and that's sort of how it was. So it was just to keep that similarity
Yeah.
between the fringe brochure that we've had previously as well.
But I think,
Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, sorry, Mark.
yeah, I just think if you made that, maybe if you alter, taking John's point, if you put the sort of block that's got Buckingham Town Council and the dates on it at the top, then it would look more like that, wouldn't it? And then the fringe week underneath, or something, so that the Buckingham Town Council bit's at the top, because then that makes it look more like that, the newsletter, doesn't it?
What about,
You've got to finesse both. You've got to make it look reasonably carrying on with the fringe week, but also I think it's got to look reasonably in line with this as well.
do you like to see a couple of options by email? So we did go for 3 options.
Because it is an important communication, isn't it? It's basic, because we're wanting people not only to look at it, but to come to the events. So it's actually, the purpose of it is quite different from the normal one, isn't it? It's
Yes.
actually inviting
Yeah.
participation in those events. So it's a slightly different focus. Yeah.
Let me try something else. Of course, positive thing. If it was an A3 trifold, there is that possibility of one of the trifolds actually not being a trifold, because then you could have a larger single area as you opened it out,
Yes, that's
spanning the two.
Yeah.
To either cut it up into a different way or whatever.
Or when you open it up, it could just be one big
It could be
area
one,
to have.
Like a map.
Yeah,
could be,
Yeah.
yeah.
With like the week on it and
Yeah.
the things happening
yeah,
around it, it was like snakes and ladders.
yeah. And that way you've got the front and the back and this side to put whatever else you need to.
So, yeah.
And the whole inside is just one big information.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I feel like we could have avoided this if we realised there was a miscommunication, but there's nothing to do about that.
Well,
So-
as I say, when I read it, it just was not. As always, assumptions get in the way, and I made the assumption to do the same things last time. You made the not unreasonable assumption that I'd read the notes of the TC.
Sorry about that.
Are you, I take it it's you too, is it, that's doing the design?
Yeah.
And you're okay?
On the basis that Tilly looks for Rob, we won't get involved, but he wants to get involved. We will, because Martin's designed stuff in the past so high. I don't know about you, Margaret, you and me. I've been messing around with so
Yeah.
since I was.
As I said earlier, my daughter does the Audi magazine. Oh, so
No, not my
magazine?
visual things aren't me at all. I can't.
Oh, okay.
You talk about folding up bits of paper and I can't get my head around that at all.
It is quite helpful that we've got paper sitting around to fold up.
It's just- Okay, so have we gone as far as we can go on that?
Yes, yeah, so we'll go away and then we will email you some,
Okay.
we'll let you know what the outcome of costs is and then also potential designs. So you can give your feedback on those.
I think it's cost really the first one.
Cost will be the first thing
And then
that we'll have to
drill
put
down.
down.
Yeah, costs obviously, yeah. So appendix B just gives us the costs over the last year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do we not, what's the projected cost for the summer one?
The summer one.
Yeah.
850.
Compared to, see, delivery is 466.
Yeah.
So that leaves us about 400 quid then. See what we can do.
The copies going up.
It would be about the same number of copies that we do for the newsletter, yeah, so 6.5 or 600, is it now?
6,500.
They haven't asked for more yet. I'm aware that that's coming.
Sorry?
I said I'm aware at some point they will ask us for more copies, but we're not quite there yet.
No, they the delivery supplier actually gave us more. She said, I'll you know, they still have hundreds left over for spares and we get a lot back as well. So like Louisa said, that the number's not gone up yet because they've not asked. They do just keep some until they're finished the delivery, just in case, you know, new things pop up and they're short.
That's nice. So you're saying there's still going to be a bit of future events in there as well, then?
Yes, but we could plan that space to include the mayor's message instead.
Okay, so we note appendix B then. It's item 8 on the agenda. Okay, quarterly social media reports.
Sounded like good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lots of reach.
Well, I would say if it hits targets, I think the targets have been set a bit low, really. They need to be stretched a bit.
So the target for a big thing is 100% of our followers. So if we hit that, good.
100%?
Yeah.
Really?
So you're advocating you
Wow.
do more than 100% then?
Well, we do regularly.
Well, yes, because then you need to get more people on from when you originally took the marker from.
Well, okay, but if you look at the extra next bit, our followers are going up, although we seem to have plateaued a little bit.
No, I'm flabbergasted it is 100%. I would have opted that and gone for 80%.
Well,
I don't know how you do it all, but
Well, I mean,
it's good. It's good.
in fairness to the statistic, it's 100. We're looking for the numbers of 100%, but that doesn't mean that everybody who follows us has necessarily seen it. It's more likely that it'll be a combination of people that follow us and other people. I think you're constantly wanting to reach your followers and other people, so that works for us.
I didn't give you a spade, I gave you an olive branch.
Can't help it, I like statistics.
That's good. So we're still, so I'm going to appendix C now then. So noted quarterly social media report and the update on social media statistics is appendix C.
Yep, so this is the annual, as with the quarterly, we cut down how much.
So, why is one labelled CFD/163/22 Why isn't one living C Lewis D?
Good point. No, they should have both been.
It's just curious, really. I know it relates to maybe these items. Okay, go on.
So, I know it's all good, and I'm not one that follows it, but is it good value of your time,
Oh,
you know, or is it overwhelming?
no, it's because we use the social media management software, that takes up a huge number of staff hours that previously would have had to spend on these things. So we can
Right.
do a lot
Good.
more
Okay, thank you.
in less time. And it's extremely, it is very effective.
Because sometimes it can okay.
If you spend a lot of
There's a
time on
lot in and not a
something,
lot out.
yes, if you spend a lot of time on something and you don't get a lot back, it can sometimes seem a bit. But I think there are general trends that certainly on some social media platforms people can be less interactive, but it doesn't mean they haven't seen things and that they don't correspond. You know, the turnout at Pancake Day, for example, was fantastic. But the coverage on social media was fine. It wasn't necessarily utterly exceptional. It was okay. It looked reasonably good. And then afterwards, you could see people. Someone questioned where it had been advertised.
Yeah, a rash question to ask.
But it was really sort of gratifying for us to see people saying, "Oh, well, I saw a poster. I saw it on social media. I saw." So the combined effort is absolutely worth it.
Because we don't have a report here about notice boards or anything, do we?
No, well, we do. We have changed the way we use them. I don't know if that's noticed.
Yeah, we only have half the story, I suppose.
Well, we do have QR codes now, which means we can track people who are using those QR codes.
We don't pay to access that data.
We don't what, sorry?
Pay attention.
No, you normally have to pay to access that level of data.
Yeah, but if the QR code took them to a page and then linked to another page, we could then do hits on that page.
Well, we could, but I would generally avoid that because the more steps you put in, the more likely it is that you don't.
No, automatic actually.
Oh, I see.
That's a Google. If they're going to Google, first get a screen come up and then so therefore they can track the advert with the advert.
We could if we felt that there was a requirement to do that. I'm not sure that would be worth the effort. I'm going to be honest. But we do know that QR codes get used, for example, with the comedy night. Most of the sold online, and no doubt that's what scanning. Same for cemetery consultation. You could walk around town and see people scanning.
Okay.
It's had a reassertion of QR codes. It would have been flat for a year or two. It's coming
Well,
back.
perhaps what we ought to do, we ought to have a field trip as the communications strategy group. We'll do a tour of town council.
That sounds really exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I did mention it because it was in my mind because I noticed one, a lot of things taken off for just been held on a cable tie.
So where are, there's one here,
Oh, God.
there's one at the start of the railway. Where are the others?
There's one in Bolton Park.
There's one more.
Well, there might be two in Bolton
Well,
Park.
yes, because the other one is on the other end, just by the bridge, and that's the one that's got the cable tie on it.
And there's one near
There's
the,
three in Walker Park, one in Shambles Park, one at the end of the
You need to
railway
get out.
walk.
That's the problem, you get
There's two in this car park, one that we recently took over next to the King Street as you head towards the doctors, and then one
Oh,
just underneath the Waitrose sign.
Yeah.
There's one near the old jail. We use the tick as well, their corridor, and we put up our posters in there as well as other organisations put their posters in there. We put it in our library notice board. So yeah, there's.
That does sound like it ought to be a report for the next meeting.
And a map.
Yeah, yeah.
Generally, I think, for the sake of the public knowing where notice boards are, and clearly that includes the councillors in this as well. I think knowing where we put those up, I think would be useful.
Maybe that walk around isn't such a bad idea.
Mm.
But the walk
Maybe we
around,
can lessen their burdens slightly.
do you do it on foot or in your car?
So the Green Spaces team put the posters up.
Oh, right.
I have in the past gone around with them and helped them put the posters up. And I will do certain ones like in the car park and in the library and stuff like that. So we just know they're up to date, and the ones that are out of date
Okay.
get taken down.
Well, let's have the next meeting a report on that. Because I've no idea how to know the pressure and everything else. And then after that, let's maybe plan a walk.
Yeah.
In the summer by then, so let's go out for a sort of maybe end up in the pub.
Margaret will like that.
We can have it, this could be our day out.
Team build.
Yeah, team building day out, focusing on those boards with an Bible.
So we get all attendees there.
How does that sound? Yes?
Yeah.
If you
Okay.
promote that, we've got to do our committee choices. If you let people know that
Everyone will be able. I think only though
This committee goes to the fun
now.
Okay, all right, moving on then to item 10, the cemetery consultation. I put this on just because we did talk about it 2 or 3 meetings ago. And then events kind of rather overtook us, and obviously you were off sick. So, but I thought as it was a major communication exercise on behalf of the town council, were there any reflections on how it was done that we need to take forward into anything similar in the future? We'll be doing other consultations with regards to the plans. So what did we learn about how best to do it, what not to do, or whatever? So if you want to keep up with that, you want to see which one to that.
I think if you don't have to listen first and then.
Okay, all right,
I'll kick it off then.
go on.
I would say that we should learn not to rush things and give such a short timescale to the office, fit it in, not only to put all the different events on at the markets and other times, but also to collate things afterwards. Okay. But I think during it, with the table, there's a lot of effort that goes in there. There's a lot of officer time, which then stops them from doing other things. So we need to be wary that it's just not the consultation that we're gaining information from, but the lack of office work that may or not be affected or will be affected.
Okay, I agree with that.
We need
Absolutely.
to be mindful of that.
Yep. I think some of this stuff overtook us because of the constraints upon budget and everything else. There are reasons for.
There's always an excuse, but
True, but let's
just
make
have to
sure
be
we don't
mindful.
do that. With regards to neighbourhood plan, we give ourselves sufficient time to plan that. We don't rush it, do right people. Margaret?
Well, I think the problem with the timings were that it had to be done in order to set our precept, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We did run out of time effectively, didn't we? Because if we had extended the period of the consultation, then we wouldn't have been able to precept accordingly, would we?
Yeah.
So
And
the
I-
precept was an absolute deadline.
And I don't, and please accept this as helpful criticism, members were not involved. The text that went out did not give, in my view, sufficient context why it was necessary. Didn't even, I can't remember that, maybe it didn't reference that we'd already agreed this and they didn't.
Can I just butt in there, because the town clerk, I think, Louise will correct me if I'm wrong, said to me there was a certain way you had to present it because,
Well, I've read
from
the
the point of view of the public Works Loan Board.
Certainly, the question that you asked had to be exactly as they phrased it. And I would say that that was the most, in a way, I'm maybe be controversial, in a way, it's good that they asked you to put it like that, because they are insisting that you are incredibly clear with the public. This is the thing, this is how much it's going to cost. Do you want the thing? Do you want to pay for it in this way? And that's what we had to do. I do think that what was interesting about watching the results coming in, because we couldn't watch it live, more or less, was that the statistics for what people thought just didn't change over time. We got more results, but those results were the same. And it was the same with when you spoke to people in the street, and obviously when you're speaking to somebody at a pop-up event, you can give a little bit of that detail and have those conversations, and it didn't change how people felt about it. For me, timing, I think, was really difficult. When you think about the financial situation in the country at the time, we had no idea it was going to be like that at that period, and the public in general, incredibly nervous about money and about their bills. And I think that even if we had done differently, I think we would have had the same result because of those overriding factors.
And you could be right, you could also be wrong in a sense, because I think, I've read the documents from, and there are some constraints in it, but not nearly as much. As and also it did say that it had to be signed off by a council committee, and it wasn't. So I think we should learn from that, and I think giving ourselves more time, and it must next time go through this committee in formal session to sign off. I think it's absolutely critical.
Obviously, we do have BMTP coming up, and I'm already working on a comms plan for that. It's a very different kind of comms plan and engagement process. We're not asking the same question. It's not for the Public Works Loan Board, it's for a different department that has different criteria. So we can address some of it quite differently. And the outreach work on that will start really soon, but also cover it. We talk about it a little bit at the BMTP meeting.
Okay.
But the 23rd of March will be the first pop-up session, because that's the annual town meeting.
Okay.
Because what's right?
So at the annual town meeting.
At the annual town meeting.
But I think my main point is, I think context needs to be there, not in such lengthy depth that we'll get bored. I do think context matters a lot of making sure decisions. Any other reflections on the exercise? Yeah, all right. So are we agreed formally that any future consultations, obviously the neighbourhood plan is going to go through different
yes, I don't know that this committee necessarily, I'd have to go away and check.
No, but I would suggest that any major consultation, aside from the neighbourhood development plan, because it's ought to be going through this committee.
I don't know if I have the authority to say that you as a committee can agree to that, or whether that would be you adding something that's not already in your existing terms of reference.
All right.
It might be that your terms of reference would have to be changed in order to have that.
Can we therefore ask you as Deputy Town Clerk to go away and review?
I can go away and review it, definitely, and then look at a recommendation. If it was, you could look at a recommendation to change your terms of reference, certainly, if that was required.
Okay.
And bearing in mind what John said about the process as well, if we didn't follow the process properly, then we should be looking at that as well.
Yes, I didn't know about that, so that's
It did. So
Pardon?
I've got the documents, I've read them.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about that because we want the money.
If I may. It sounds a good idea to come through here for continuity and branding and all that. His own process, but and it'll be okay as long as we've got the time scale to do it. But if somebody wants a consultation, then they've really got to think about it beforehand because we don't meet that often. So we may have to have some special meetings for that.
Well, I think one main principle is that the consultation text should always be signed off by the health authority. I'm not saying it needs to be drafted. I think the text that goes out should be signed off. Now that might be us, it could be TCE, it could be Valley, it could be whatever. But if there's a consultation on something that's different, wants the town council, the councillors must sign off on what goes out.
But as you know from the town matters, you know, there's a lot of argy-bargy that goes along outside of this meeting to get it into this glorious format that we have.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and then there's a few emails that follow up. But is it actually signed off? You know,
I'm not saying, no, I'm
we
not
don't
saying,
quite do it that way.
I'm
do we?
not saying all newsletters, all press releases, everything else. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when it comes to a major consultation, that should be signed off by the council committee of some kind.
Well, maybe
And
we
the
ought
council
to
will-
put a straw man together as to the process and, you know, signing off and what that would involve,
Okay.
so that they could work with it.
We need a policy then.
Yes. I think that would be a strong thing to do.
Okay, because we have a communications policy, we could either add it to that, or we have a separate policy for
Yeah,
implementation.
why don't we have a separate one, because it is separate.
Okay,
And then we can adjust it if necessary without going through the rest.
okay. Okay,
Yeah, I think
How
that
does
could
that
be
sound?
a strong benefit. And workable.
A consultation policy.
Yeah.
Um,
a consultation communications policy. It's still about, isn't
I'm not against the idea. I'm concerned it would be too rigid and you would come across a different kind of consultation and you would realise, oh, I can't do this because, so for example, when we look for grant funding for small accounts, say £10,000 or something, and you often have to show evidence of public, that the public wants it, and that can't just be that the council says they want it, you have to have some other kind of form of evidence as well. So I put together a survey, ask questions in order to gather that evidence. The public does want that.
it? Yeah.
I wouldn't want to write a policy that accidentally included that kind of thing, because that could seriously delay applying for funding, miss out on opportunities. So that would be my concern about that. It's probably solvable by thinking about how we word it.
Yeah, I think elasticity needs to be built into the policy,
Yeah,
as in all policies. That's, in a sense, that's our collective job to do that. So the policy is liberating, but also
Enabling.
building on the accountability too.
yeah.
With a threshold, for example, you know,
Yeah.
below 10,000, don't worry. But this was a major things that the council didn't need to sign on.
Okay, so if we have a proposer and a seconder for the policy and also for for the policy,
I think we're
that's what we
coagulating
To investigate
around.
policy.
Yeah.
We're not, yeah. If
investigate.
you want to come back with a draft policy, fine.
Yes,
If you want to come back with some ideas that could go into a draft policy, that would also be fine.
okay, yeah.
So we're asking you to go away and do some thinking on this and
Yeah.
bring back a report on it.
But I think the idea of having a threshold kind of put into that policy, so we don't have to be involved in every single decision.
I think that that would be very difficult for both the office and this committee, to be honest.
Yeah,
If we accidentally wrote a policy that required that level of input from both sides.
Yeah.
So yes, there does need a way. I just need a way. If you don't mind, I'm perfectly happy with that proposal. If you want to agree.
Well, I'll propose that.
Yeah.
Who wants to second it? Okay, Ravina seconds. Tree,
And then I'll come back and see where we are.
Absolutely.
okay, press releases, I guess,
We know.
notes, any discussion points on that?
Yes,
Go on, Martin.
I quite like, screen's gone now. I quite like that, at least two of them were picked up by the Clerks Council thing, and the other, what is it, the Holocaust Day was picked up by Balfour or something, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Is it Buckingham Free Press or? No,
So second.
the Holocaust one, was that one picked up by Buckingham Free Press or something as well?
Yes, they've actually, some of these later ones have more than those listed on here. But yes, the Holocaust had very good coverage across the board, really. Especially, as I said, the Holocaust. I meant Holocaust Memorial Day in Buckingham. Yeah, a lot of interest there.
Yeah, that was part of the impact. So, yeah,
Yeah, they were really
because
good.
we're the only place in the county at the moment that holds such. And in these even other than times, it's all the more important that we remember all those who were others and the Nazis.
I've got to hold my hand up and say it was the first one I attended. Simply because I was able to attend for one reason or the other, so. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
It was only the second one we'd done.
Yeah, it does.
So you only missed one.
Well,
Yeah.
But I think it's important, point in the year, that we just remember, this is what happens with the other. Don't do that. Then make them commitment. Carry on.
But I wanted to just explore the town clerks, what is it? What's it called?
Clerks and Councils magazine.
Yeah.
There's also another magazine, the SLCC magazine. Which
Oh, is it? Right,
occasionally
okay. Did it just cover those ones, or did it explore, how Buckingham did it, why we did it, or did it just an article of your press release basically in there?
It's more or less an article about press release, but they do group things together. So they were also talking about another Holocaust Memorial event in the same article that they talked about ours, and they have photos from ours.
Yeah, it wasn't that the Remembrance Parade, I think, was in there. It was said on there.
Yeah.
It just highlights the good stuff that Buckingham's doing, really, to others,
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And most councils receive these.
which we should,
Sometimes
take
you
as
get
a
tips about what other councils are doing as well.
little star on our lapel, really,
We have a good reputation.
for the office.
We are held up as an example of good practice in communication.
Do we always feel like that, though?
Other people see us as that.
Yes, but do we feel like that?
Yeah, I do. I'm really proud of what we do with communication.
You feel like that?
Yeah, I think there is, we can go slightly further, but on the whole, over this last year, the way things are progressing, I think we're doing quite well.
I hope all councils and staff feel like that.
That's
How do you feel about it, Martin?
I do, yeah, yes. But because I feel like that doesn't mean that everybody's getting the message, because they're not always at these meetings, and they're just normal drops meetings that, push things through. Sorry, not just that way, but they're just standard meetings, and things happen. But it's the collectiveness that brings it all together, and
Okay, I think that concludes the I have no chairs items. All right. Right, just checking. All right, so we're meeting next on the 30th of April by Zoom, and here in the chamber on the 8th of June, 1 p.m. both of those meetings. Okay, Martin.
We decided to go alternately with Zoom because of the people that could meet here or couldn't meet here. Wasn't it?
I think it was also about having informal meetings that weren't.
Yeah, so we could do things
without.
Yeah. But we haven't got anybody else that can't meet here, is it?
Do you think we should just do it always in here?
Well, no, I was, for those people that want to meet by Zoom, are we happy for some others to meet here if the staff want to come here? Or would you do it in the office, or is that not a practical place for you to do it anyway?
My personal preference would be to not go hybrid with meetings. I think either all
It's
Zoom
one or the other, is it? Right.
or in person is better in terms of being able to hear clearly.
Yes.
Having had that experience last week, I can't remember what the meeting was now. I didn't feel part of the meeting.
It was the and
Well,
Oh, yeah.
I've had a couple of weeks off, only joining by Zoom. You really don't feel part of it. And it's really difficult, especially the bigger meetings. It's really difficult to hear. It seems like some of the mics are positioned correctly, and others, if there's people rustling their papers or going through files, that's all we hear. So
it's very difficult. We did put a paper to just get your resources
yes,
to spend some more money on the room to try and help with that, but it didn't go past. So
I mean, don't get me wrong, it is great to have that option because I had to stay home because I wasn't feeling it. So coming in wasn't an option. So the snippets I could catch were great, but then, you're there for 2 hours or plus sometimes, and you're not allowed to vote, and you don't catch everything either. So either we need slightly better technology to make sure that it is really integrated and the sound quality is much better.
I think this is the first year of doing it in this way, alternating Zoom, real, face-to-face. So let's do that and then review maybe this time next year and see how it's going.
Okay.
And maybe by then we'll want to go back to all face-to-face.
Yeah.
But I thought part of the Zoom thing was so we could live edit documents, but we haven't done that recently, have we? And I'm glad we haven't, because I found that very confusing.
Yeah.
well, we were trying to take advantage of Teams, but I
we
don't think we did
do
do it last, did we?
Well, we do it if we need to do it.
Do it again if you want to.
I didn't find it
No,
terribly
I
easy.
think it's back to what's a proportionate job for us as councillors. I think editing that level of detail. I think that can be done offline. It shows up. It's being changed, doesn't it? So you can add comments to a shared document.
We can still look at how we do that for next time, but maybe not have multiple people trying to edit it. We could just have one person showing the edits.
Yeah.
While we do the meeting.
Yeah. Okay, shall we close the meeting formally? Thank you very much.